Welcome to the Free Birth Podcast, a supportive space for people who are learning, exploring, and celebrating their autonomous choices in childbirth. Together, we'll unpack truths, share personal stories, and claim our ability to birth freely and intuitively. Here's your host, Emily Saldea.
I have a very exciting announcement to make. The official Free Birth Society membership network is now live. We have abandoned mainstream social media and created our own private network, a truly safe space where women can be free to talk about pregnancy, birth, holistic mothering, and of course, radical birth work. And you don't have to be a hardcore free birther to join. This is for any woman who is curious about natural birth and natural mothering and who wants to explore any of the ideas that we touch on in this podcast in more depth. It's also a great resource for women who are planning a free birth, a place to share stories, ideas, information, and most importantly, community and support. Head to our website at freebirthsociety.com to apply. We are so proud of this new space and we can't wait to welcome you. Come join us in the fun. We're back this week with Andrea again, and this episode is all about elimination communication. We are here to demystify it and give you both the tools and the confidence to get you and your baby started. Let's teach our babies that diapers are not their toilet and experience deep levels of connection and communication when we honor their dignity and their instincts. And by the way, yes, you can do this, and it's actually really, truly not hard. We already covered your wonderful stories last week, so I just want to dive into elimination communication. And like I was just saying before we were recording, you've kind of become this, at least in my world, from my sphere, you've become kind of the face of this movement of taking back, what is so normal. And we're going to weave in some of my experience too, and some of my personal questions throughout this conversation. And our goal for anyone listening is to walk away with an understanding of what, not only what elimination communication is, but to really feel like you have the tools to start it. Because, when we pitched this idea on Instagram and let people know that we were going to be doing this episode, what I was really taken aback by was how many comments of women saying, oh, that sounds amazing, but I don't think I could do it. Essentially is what we kept seeing. And, Andrea is here to demystify it with me because you absolutely can do it if you want to. It does take, some level of awareness and willingness, of course, but I personally have found it to be extremely easier than I thought it was going to be. And so I'm just so excited to have you here and get to pick your brain and collect your wisdom for this podcast, because I know a lot of people are excited for this.
Awesome. I'm so excited to be here. I was very excited to see that your entire audience was like, yes, we want to learn about EC.
Mm-hmm.
So, elimination communication is basically what people have done for all of human history. Instead of using diapers, believe it or not, they didn't really do that before. Well, let's see. Disposables were invented in 1961, really.
Oh my God, that's like yesterday.
I know. And
Wow.
Nobody wanted them. Nobody wanted to put their baby in paper. And they didn't want them at all. So one of my mentors worked for Pampers it was either 25 or 35 years. He has patents on his wall for the newborn cut diaper. Like he invented that.
Whoa.
So I met him and I was like, oh, you're the enemy. I met him here in Asheville at a cafe. And I was like, you're the enemy, but I really want to talk to you and get to know you. So we met and I blew his mind talking about EC, and he couldn't even talk to me for a few days. We had to get back together and talk again. And he was like, wow, you really changed my whole view on how far we've gone as diaper companies. And basically, he admitted to me that they hired a pediatrician back in the 60s to advocate that parents wait for readiness, this mysterious ready, that child saying, I am ready to be potty training, which is freaking ridiculous. Think about it, people. It's marketing, and it's really exquisite marketing, to where people will even get really defensive about late potty training, thinking that they're doing the right thing. But if you really look at the root of it, they hired a pediatrician who is still the head of the Pampers University. And he advocated that parents wait for readiness based on a study that has no science in it. You can look it up online. It has no scientific backing at all.
Like so many things in birth and parenting.
Oh my gosh, so many things. So we're basically being told how to parent by a multi-billion-dollar network of companies who have created a product, not to go conspiracy theory, but let's think about it. How many disposable diapers have been thrown away with pee and poop in them and chemicals over the last, it's been now 40, 60 years, and none of them have ever biodegraded. There's about 27 billion landfilled a year. That alone, though, doesn't change behavior. We still use them. We don't care. And the reason is because we think we're helping our children by putting them in them for longer, but we're really just helping those companies. So,
and I don't even know if it's that we think we're helping. I think it's that also the age of convenience and not questioning anything, and just being fucking television zombies, and just that it's what they give you in the hospital. It's what, your mom did with you. And, anything outside of that, even cloth diapering is labeled so successfully, across the mainstream as hippie or stupid or hard or challenging, and just all of these ways to oppress the truth or suppress the truth. Which is exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, it even goes back to like our sort of subconscious view of savage and like, indigenous cultures. We think of them as impoverished, or like we scapegoat and all of that stuff. And if we do what they do, then we're not modern and we're not civilized and all that stuff. And you can get really deep with it. Essentially, we're not teaching our children to deal with their pee or poop.
Right.
Their waste is just sort of buried away, and that's kind of symbolic too. So you can get really philosophical.
Totally.
But really, the bottom line is that we have been robbed of our wisdom in this area because of these multi-billion-dollar companies wanting to sell stage 6 diapers. I mean, anyway. So EC is basically what people did before diapers, and cloth diapers weren't really invented and used until about 200 years ago. So you're talking about hundreds of thousands of years in our current human form that really think about it. Do you think the human race would have survived this long if we were peeing and pooping like incontinent little mammals all over the cave? No, we wouldn't have made it this far. We would have had disease and we would have destroyed ourselves. So like any mammal, just like with birth, like any mammal out there, we all have instincts that we're born with to not soil ourselves. So EC is based on this instinct. And really, if you think about it, you're allowing your child their dignity. So you're allowing your child to be heard, and you're communicating with them. And oh my gosh, the look that a newborn will give you, even a couple weeks old, I have a 4-week-old now, almost 4 weeks. The look that they give you when they see that you get them and you understand that what they just cried about was that they weren't wet and they weren't pooped in, their diapers weren't pooped in. They weren't crying to tell you that they need changed. They were crying, if you just back up and zoom out just a little bit, they're crying to tell you to get the diaper off of them so they could go in alignment with their instincts and hygienically. Because again, we're not going to soil our den or our caregivers or ourselves. We just aren't built that way. We're intelligent human beings from birth. We're not stupid. We're not born dumb and incontinent. So if you are aware of this,
right, we make our babies incontinent.
We train them into diapers, and then 3 years later, we train them out of it, and it's hell. Let me tell you something. I have never potty trained any of my 5 children. I've never had to potty train. Now, I wrote a book on potty training because people would find me past the EC window of 0 to 18 months, which is really when it's ideal to start and finish the whole process. So in 1957, 92% of American babies were completely potty trained, done by 18 months. This was 4 years before disposables were invented. Or hit the market. So think about it, just in 2 generations, our babies have gotten that much dumber and that less capable. No, there's no way. It's just marketing. So we can
It's
just
the same thing with birth, right? It's like all the same
thing.
principles.
And same thing with
All of a
breastfeeding.
sudden we didn't just like not know how to birth or not know how to breastfeed.
No, breastfeeding, birth, all of that stuff, everything, and I don't, okay. So I want to tell everybody. So most people say, I can't do EC. Wow. That sounds great. And what you're talking about, you're really speaking to my heart. And I just love what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't take action because they don't know what in the heck they're doing, which makes sense. Cause how would we know? We're a diapering culture. There's no blame here. Like we have all been misled. Even our pediatricians have been told by the diaper companies in their textbooks of how to become a doctor, how to become a nurse. It says that they don't have sphincter control to 18 months. I mean, there's so many lies, so many pervasive lies. Oh, and honestly, your baby can actually get UTIs, medical constipation, if you train after 2 years old. There should be a disclaimer on every package of diapers that say that this could harm your babies.
Yeah.
So we really have been robbed of this wisdom, and it's nobody's fault. But when you have the information, well, Andrea, what am I going to do about it? Because it sounds like just one more thing that I have to do, and I'm already overwhelmed. I have no time, no energy. I'm completely like floored. I'm a new mom. I don't even know where I'd begin. And all of these objections come up in their minds, and I get it. Because when I was starting with my first baby, I had read the book Diaper Free Baby, and I had tried to wrap my head around it. It was even hard for me. That's why I wrote my book, Go Diaper Free, because I wanted a how-to with videos and a community that supports you. I needed that. I didn't have that. So I think a lot of parents, especially moms, don't start because they don't have the information, but also they think it's going to be harder or messier. You have this imagining that they're going to be peeing and pooping all over the floor.
Mm-hmm.
That is not how it is. So when a baby wakes up, just like when you wake up, do you have to pee?
Right. Yes.
Okay. When you have just had a warm coffee or something, maybe within 30 minutes or an hour, do you have to usually pass a bowel movement? Okay.
Totally.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So think about a baby. When they wake up, they have the same hormone, antidiuretic hormone, which we have, was it more of in pregnancy? I always get the facts backwards because my brain is gone with 5 babies, but whatever hormone it is that makes us pee all night when we're pregnant. It also keeps, so this hormone, it keeps us dry at night and from pooping and peeing ourselves. We can take advantage of nature, you guys, and realize that EC is super easy because it's in alignment with nature.
Right.
And you just realize when my baby wakes up, I'm going to take them to the bathroom and offer, like right when they wake up, before this hormone wears off and their bladder fills, take them. And guess what? Within a day or two, they start holding it. They start to understand what's happening.
And obviously we don't even have to take them all the way to the bathroom, right? If we're still recovering from birth, you can have a little bowl or a little potty. You sell a little potty, right?
I do. Yeah. It got, we couldn't find them anymore. The Top Hat potty, they're called, or potty bowl. And so I had them manufactured recently, and they're on tinyundies.com, my sister's site. But yeah, you can potty, you can even, if you're recovering and having a hard postpartum, you can lay them on a mat, a pad, or wool underneath a sheet, or you can just get any kind of changing pad, and you can just cue along with them as they go, and you watch them and you go, psst. So making a running noise, PSSSS, when they're going pee. This builds sound association. Within a couple of weeks, when you're ready to get up and try to potty them, you hold them into position, which I'll explain in a second, and you make the psst noise, and they've already been conditioned to understand. It's like teaching a puppy to scratch at the door to go outside. And then when they go, or to whine at the door, and then when they go outside, you say, go potty. And then they go like on command almost. It's this, if you have to go, now's your chance.
Right.
And so babies totally get it with repetition. So if you're not, so here's the deal, everybody listening. Oh my goodness. You can do EC part-time. And if you do EC part-time, some would even call it half-assed. You actually might not have to potty train at all. And if anything, you might do like a little weekend wrap-up session before they're 18 months. You can do this completely half-assed and have great benefits. Also, by the way, whoever wants to change a blowout diaper,
right? Exactly.
Why would you sit there and you know your baby's pooping? If you're listening and your baby's 18 months, you know your baby's pooping. You know when. So you just say, wait, get the diaper off, hold them in position or stick them on the toilet and then go.
It's like
Just
almost
grunt.
no cleanup. Oh, so you do a grunting with
I
the
do a
poop?
grunt. Yes, on the poop, I do a different signal.
Oh, I do the same on both. Is that bad?
No, it's not bad. So there's no right or wrong with AC. The cool thing about it is like everybody does it a little bit differently. Now, the
Sure.
way I teach it is extremely linear because it covers all the points and makes it completely easy and dummy proof. But you can vary from it to whatever length you want. It doesn't matter. There's no, but it's, are you communicating with your baby? Does your baby understand what you're saying? And do you understand what your baby's saying? And every time you don't understand, are you committed to learning? Like, hey, maybe I'll just tweak this, because guess what? Your baby is so forgiving. It doesn't matter if you screw the whole thing up for 10
Right. And resilient. Yeah.
They're so resilient. They just appreciate that you're trying. And
Right,
honestly,
totally.
it's like,
And actually, I
yeah,
found with the pooping that because I'm just waiting for her cues and then holding her over a sink or toilet, I actually don't even really need to do the sound with bowel movements because I'm not cueing her to poop. She's actually cued me to poop. You know what I
yep,
mean?
yep, I
She's cued,
totally know.
yeah. So I don't have to. So now that I'm like thinking about it lately, we actually don't even do it for that. I just do it for peeing.
And eventually the noise cues go away, and you replace it with a word. Okay, time to pee or time to poop, or
Mm,
you just do it. You just
right.
bring them. And the key to EC as they get older to prevent resistance is to give the keys to the castle over once they start walking, to really like get rid of the diapers after they've mastered walking. If you haven't already, daytime diapers go bye-bye. On tiny undies, I created tiny undies because my son had nothing to wear when he was 10 months old and out of diapers. There was nothing that fit him, and it just sucked. And he was just peeing whenever all over the floor. And I was like, this is the same as diapering. This is terrible.
Right.
Because if you can, you will, especially if you're a boy baby, sorry, but they're very conveniently minded and they're like, I'll just let a little out and keep
Yeah.
peeing. So I have training pants that are all cotton. I have regular underwear, and I have these pull-up covers that I was just dying. Nobody had them. I was dying to get some, so I made them. And with any combination, whatever you want, whatever works for your carpet or your stress level or whatever, the backup changes when they start to walk to something that encourages communication and that does not feel like a diaper. So then you're able to teach and train and give them all the tools that they need, this repetition routine. It's like teaching them to eat with a fork. Or
Mhm.
it's like, changing from breastfeeding, transitioning slowly to eating solid foods, baby-led weaning, some will call it. So there's this, you're just teaching and you are providing boundaries and explaining. They know how to go to the bathroom. They're born knowing,
Right.
but you have to teach them what receptacle to go in and how to get their
Exactly.
pants off. So if you don't do this and you wait till your mother-in-law is telling you, you have to wait till 2 or 3. If you wait till 2, it's going to be so hard. What do two-year-olds say all the time? My
No.
22-month-old, no. If
Yeah.
I tell him, do you want a piece of candy? He says no. And then he
Right.
said, yeah.
Wait a
And
minute.
I'm like, yeah, wait, I do. So don't try to wait. If you're already past 18 months, I do have a potty training book. It takes an average of 7 days. It's actually super freaking easy, and it's abrupt. It's like, you're done with diapers, you do the training. It is non-coercive, but it is not BSing around. You are doing it. You can do that at any age. So don't feel guilty if you miss the EC boat. But if you're in that range, just doing a little bit, just catch the poops. For God's sake, just catch the poops. The poops are like the grossest thing to clean up. And they're the easiest thing to catch and to get into a rhythm with. And then get the morning wake up pee. Just those 2 things. If
Mhm.
you just do those 2 things, and maybe every time you change your diaper, you potty them because, hey, the diaper's off. They're probably going to want to go.
Mhm.
If you did those 3 things, those are what I call easy catches.
Oh, good. That's what I'm doing. Those are the
Oh,
3
yeah.
things
So,
I'm doing.
and on my YouTube channel, those are some of my most popular videos, are the 4 easy catches. So there's one other one too. Before, when they get out of the car seat, it's just like transition times.
Transition,
When
yeah.
would any 2-year-old need to go? When would a 4-year-old need to go? When would you need to go? Think about it as, when would this baby probably need to go? And we don't want to over offer, but we also want to get into a rhythm, something predictable. And we want to use the same words or noises every time.
Right.
And basically, like, you can start anytime if you're listening between 0 and 18 months with just those easy catches and figure out what 1 or 2 things work for you. And if that's all you want to do, that's it. Good, because you're teaching your child, this diaper is not a full-time toilet. This diaper is a backup. And when we are in tune, we get it in the toilet. And I see my mom go in the toilet. My dad goes in the toilet. My brother and
even
sister.
like, yeah. And I do things like when, when she goes in the toilet, it's celebrated. And if she goes in the diaper, I apologize to her and I'll be like, I see that I missed this. I'm sorry. I know that this is not our preference, and I just like talk to her, not like shame her or anything, because it's totally not her fault, but just like talk to her. And whereas when she's in the toilet, you can see how proud she is. She's looking
Totally.
up at us and she's smiling, or she's like pooping and clapping. And, it's just so obvious. And so a couple of things. So I want to back up to the stages of kind of what does it look like for a newborn, like literally what would it look like for a mom having her new first baby or first baby to try this with, into just kind of the different phases up to 18 months. And then also I just wanted to say that something that moved me so much that got me on board with this when I was pregnant was I also read that book, Diaper Free Baby, and it was great. And actually, I'm lying. My husband read that book. That and then I transmuted it from him by osmosis. So actually, what happened was in the pregnancy, my husband said, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to learn? You obviously seem like you've got this. So is there anything that you need of me? And I said, why don't you read about elimination communication? Because I don't really want to. I have some resistance to it. I'm not sure why, but we should obviously do it because it seems like the right thing to do. So you go ahead and read about it and you can pioneer that. And when baby's here, you can kind of be the leader for that if that's how this pans out. And it actually worked out really well for us. But what moved me so much, so I wanted to throw into this episode, was just how, as a nanny in Los Angeles for a long, long time, I was a nanny to many kids who were in the process of being potty trained. And it was so fucking traumatic for the kid and for the parents. And I worked with this family who, this is really common all over the world, I think, that the kiddo was going to be in daycare and a requirement of the daycare was to be potty trained. And so all of a sudden, these parents find this out over the summer. The kid's maybe like 2, the kid's starting daycare in August. So there's this very tangible deadline, but the parents have no tools. And like you said, they've been, unconsciously training their kid that the diaper is the toilet, for 2 years of their life. And then all of a sudden, this poor little thing and this poor little set of parents has to figure out what is obviously a formula for a lot of stress. And as we know in the older years, our sphincters and our sex organs and where we go to the bathroom and how we go to the bathroom, and even if we're able to go to the bathroom, is also tied to stress and trauma and feeling safe and all of those core chakra, root chakra, principles. And so I just wanted to make sure to mention that this is a whole nother level of, like you said, giving and honoring your child's dignity, and it's setting them up for a feeling of safety in their most, most like intimate spaces that absolutely will affect, childbirth, orgasms, relationship to bathrooms, and it just all of it. It's such a big deal because, as we know, as a society, we shame all of that stuff, especially in girls. I have met girls who will not poop in their school. And so because of the embarrassing connotation to it, they will actually constipate themselves. Like young girls that I've met, they will not go to the bathroom in schools. Or I've met parents and I've watched them change their baby's diapers and they're like, oh God, this is so fucking disgusting. Ugh. And they're doing that over their poor, sweet little baby's face. And so elimination communication offers a complete shift away from all of that into a gentle and safe roadmap that is going to affect more than we can even really comprehend. So, that's the space that interested me. And admittedly, I had some resistance to it because so many mothers who ultimately I do trust and believe were saying it was easy. And I just was like, there's no fucking way that's easy.
It's easy because it's based on nature. And that's the same thing with birth. Like my birth a couple of weeks ago, sorry, but it was easy.
Yeah.
It was easy because I was in alignment with nature.
Exactly.
And that's really the basis of it. That's the whole crux of everything. What you're saying touches my heart. I mean, it really is sad that we are told that we're going to damage our children psychologically if we train them early. I have on my blog post, so I have a blog at godiaperfree.com/blog. I have a ton. I have so many free resources. There's so much. At the end of the podcast, I'll share, where you can get my easy start guide, which is free, which helps you wrap your head around the basics of it. Oh my gosh. So so there's this article on my blog that was written by one of my certified coaches, because I train parents to teach this as well in community with real life people. And she wrote up this whole article that was just about all of the different studies that have been done. None of them prove that early potty training is damaging. None of them say it. Even Dr. Hodges, he only surveyed, he specializes in encopresis, those like poop disorders for 3-year-olds and above. And he surveyed 112 people in his practice. So of course it's totally a biased, skewed study. And all it said is if you don't fully drain your pee, if you're trained early, then you're going to have issues later. Well, if you're doing EC, you're going to fully let go of all your
It's grasping at straws.
Yeah. You're not going to have any stress related to peeing because it's natural.
And anything can traumatize a kid if it's contained with pressure and shame and all
how you do
stuff.
it.
It's how you do it. And
So
that was what I loved about the book, was that the one that I read, or the one that my husband read, was all about just be chill, just be relaxed and approach this just how you said before about, the
natural
catches and the keeping the energy around it mellow and celebratory and loving and safe, because we are training our babies in our energy fields, are training our babies.
We are, and we're modeling what is normal. What is it like to be a grown-up human being? And our babies are paying attention. If we do baby wearing, they're able to really see and watch and observe what we do. And they prefer that. It's like the continuum concept really informed my early parenting as well. And just the way the Stone Age Indians would do it. There's so many things that just we've lost. So all the studies in this blog post that I have, also, all of them say that early potty training is better, and that delayed after 2 years old. This is actually delayed, you guys. 2 years old and up, potty training is actually late. Okay. It is not developmentally appropriate. If you have a 2-year-old or up, there's no blame, no shame. We're in a diapering culture. Just get it done. And I can help you with that. But it causes and has been known to cause UTI and medical constipation. But think about self-esteem wise. You're having to go into a corner in your daycare around other kids and poop your pants. How embarrassing and shaming. And why do we think that's the gentler way? It just drives me nuts. Like, we have been completely brainwashed, and it's by exquisite marketing. And trust me, I'm trying to learn the way of the marketing of the diaper so that I can use it with EC, because I want to do what they do. They're really good at it. But, just get you thinking, like, what do people do in the world right now where there aren't diapers? Well, unfortunately, disposable diapers are infiltrating everywhere, and nobody has the landfill to help. In Thailand, when I went a few years ago, diapers all up on the side of the road, and 3 and 4-year-olds in Bangkok wearing diapers, disposables. And I have
been in rural villages in India and absolutely seen diaper-free babies and diaper-free toddlers. And I remember before I was even super deep in the birth world, when I went to India for a long time, and I was like 18 or 19, I remember noticing that before I even knew about EC. And, I remember seeing women in the streets with their little babies on their legs, with some oil, and doing infant massage, and all talking, and all these babies being diaper free and doing infant massage just so normally. And that was when I came home and was like, okay, that's awesome.
And so some parents listening to that are like, whoa, I can't have my baby without diapers. You guys, diaper free does not mean diaperless. I use backups. I have my baby in disposables right now as a backup. I reuse the same disposable at least 5 times today.
Nice.
So I'm not using that many. And I don't feel bad about it, because honestly, I have 5 kids and I cannot.
And we should just say that, you already kind of said it, but
you don't have to be
about feeling bad. This is, and there's no, the goal, it's called elimination communication. So the goal is to communicate around
and to learn about each other.
To learn. Exactly.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
So just like free birth and the entire, point of this podcast and literally everything I do in the world is reminding and encouraging and bringing light to that mama's instincts actually do know best, and that we can trust those, and that we're so inundated with the lie that we have to turn outside, for dealing with our babies. And it's just simply not true. And so this is a shining example of that. So let's get to some
nuts and bolts.
practical.
Yeah.
So let's go newborn first. And what does that look like from, day one on?
So with my first, I started right away with sound association and observation.
Yeah.
Because I read Diaper for Your Baby. I hadn't read my book yet. I wrote my book when he was 5 months old, which is very how-to. I'm sorry. None of the other, but I know all the other authors, they're wonderful. And all of the books offer something really unique. Mine is the one that's like the how-to. How do you do this? Because I had a hard time with my first one. My last 4 babies, I've started from day one, from moment one, because I felt confident with it.
And when we're saying starting, you mean catching?
I mean, like holding them over the top hat potty. Yeah. And like making the noise right away and, getting them when they wake up right away. That's so awesome. Here's how so with the first one, I sort of eased in we did catch the first meconium with the first one.
Oh my gosh.
We saw him grimacing and we were like, we don't want to clean that up off his butt.
Totally.
Yeah. Put olive oil in your baby's butt to prepare for that first poop. We didn't have to do that. So held him over the toilet. Actually, my partner at the time stuffed the toilet underneath him and I was holding him. So, this is how you hold them. For an in-arms baby. So you want to talk about newborns who don't have any neck control, or crawling, semi-mobile babies. You don't really want to do this with a walking baby, but you can in a public toilet. It's really helpful. You hold them into this deep squat position. So there are pictures of this on my website, but basically you hold them underneath their thighs and their back is laid across on your sternum.
Like a bucket.
Yeah. So you're like, the baby's leaning up against you in front of you. Their head's right underneath your head. You're both facing forward. You've got your hands underneath their thighs and you're kind of aiming. And if there's a boy child, you can aim their penis with one of your fingers, which is pretty easy when they're small. So that's the in-arms classic hold.
Talk about the multitasker mom, right?
And while you're trying to aim.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Let me tell you though, both of my girls pee straight out when they're little babies.
Oh,
and
really?
It's like harder than the boys.
Oh, funny.
I mean, you can cup it with your hand but anyway.
So okay. I want to talk about the newborn stage specifically because I want you to explain, because I wish I had known you back then and I could have asked you this then. I didn't start it right away. I mean, I started the observing and the noise, but the actual catching, because I felt, and it was my first baby, I felt like she was pooping and peeing all the time. So I didn't really learn her rhythm. She didn't even really have a rhythm, it seemed. I could be wrong, but it just seemed like she was pooping during breastfeeding. She was peeing all the time. I didn't know how to, So it took a while. It took a good couple of weeks of observing that and her kind of chilling out and getting a flow for me to feel like it was even reasonable to catch them. But I know it's not actually true since you did it from birth. So maybe demystify that a little bit for anyone who felt the same as me.
Absolutely. So when you have a newborn, they only pee or poop, supposedly, the hospital will tell you, is one time for every day they are old. And that's how they gauge if your baby's got the eliminations going well or not. And I've had 2 of my babies in the hospital, as you know. Although we weren't there long, we broke out of the jail very quickly. But I enlightened many nurses by pottying them. And they got mad at me because they wanted her to pee in this diaper with this little pad in it. And I was like, well, I just caught her pee on this bigger pad, like she was naked.
It's a nerve.
It wouldn't take it. I was like, whatever. Okay. So with a newborn, they are not going to pee and poop that much. So it's the best time to start because they're not going all the time. Their plumbing hasn't really started working yet. They're going to have meconium for first couple of days. Then when your milk comes in, when you get the porn boobs, your baby's going to get the good milk, they're all good, but the milk that's like streaming and you can't get it to stop, like that photograph on your Instagram recently. So that changes their poop to this seedy, mustardy, greenish to yellowish, really bright, oftentimes runny poop. Now, when that's about to happen, you get a little bit of warning, but it doesn't happen very often yet. So the first week, if you start the first week, it's amazing because basically you can see, are they getting uncomfortable? So okay, first of all, when they just wake up, So they sleep all the time in the beginning. So when they wake up, the first thing I do is help them eliminate themselves, eliminate the waste so they can feel comfortable and really latch well. If a baby needs to pee or poo or burp, they're going to pop off the breast. So that's actually a signal that you know they need to go. So you might think you're having issues with letdown or or breast milk supply, all that stuff. But it might actually be that your baby needs to go to the bathroom.
Just
It doesn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I can't eat breakfast.
Totally.
So, you can, if they're
Such
going
a good point, right? Like before you go clip your tongue tie, just make sure they don't have to pee or poop.
Exactly. Like you want to look at this whole picture. So you zoom out, you look at the whole baby. Well, part of the baby that we've been taught to ignore is the elimination. They don't have a rhythm to anything in the beginning. And I've been really frustrated with sleep lately. Obviously everybody is, but I don't think I've had a full night's sleep in 8 years, and it's kind of getting to me. It goes in waves, but like, being pregnant or having a baby all the time, nursing, I have not had much sleep. So when they wake up, they have to go to the bathroom. So they're sleeping all the time in the beginning. When they wake up, just hold them over and make that noise, run some water if you need to. I often potty my babies over the sink, which people think is gross, but
Me
I don't
too.
care.
That's when I do it.
It's so easy to clean it. And I'll even take a bleach wipe and wipe it out, like every day. But oftentimes I just run some warm water, rinse it down. It's benign. It's breast milk.
Totally.
Poop. It's like,
and physically for me, for the mother, it's easy to hold. And I had a neck issue for a lot of my first year with her, and there was no way I could pretty much hold her in any other way. So
absolutely. And if you've had a C-section, you can't hold her at all.
Right.
You just have her on a pad and you do the sound association. It is helpful. And if your partner's there, guys are really great at taking on this role. I love that your husband read the book first. I have a lot of dads who buy my book and like read up on things, and then that's their job with the baby because they can't really do.
I love it. I think it's so good as a feminist who constantly sees men, in my opinion, overstepping or understepping in this arena, and just with birth and pregnancy. I love it because it doesn't overstep the mother's, experience and the breastfeeding and the birth and all of that. It's like this other thing that, the dad I found for me personally with my partner, that he actually, I was telling you this the other day when we were talking, he's even was more tuned in to her elimination communication than I was, because I was very quick, and I'm better about it now, but she's almost a year old. In the beginning, anytime she would make anything, any uncomfortable noise, I'd be like, oh, she's hungry, and immediately go to get my boobs out. And he was like, hold on, maybe she just has to pee, or maybe she just has to poop. And he was right so much of the time. And that was very impressive to me. And it really, really increased their bond, guaranteed. I mean, that was for them to have that. And it wasn't like I didn't do it, but he was definitely the leader of it. And like I said, I became injured pretty quickly after I had her. And so he really handled that. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful to see, and in no way encroached on what I was doing with her.
It's awesome. My husband's awesome at it. Sometimes he'll like pat and soothe, and I'm like, you're soothing her into peeing in her diaper, honey. And he's like, oh yeah, sorry. It's so ingrained even in him. So, we definitely want to support our partners, our men, our husbands, even our same-sex partners. And we want to give that role, the one who's not doing the breastfeeding, the one who's not doing all the waking up all night with the baby. It's a great role to have, is to be the EC daddy or whatever, whatever the situation is, I think, so newborn, very nuts and bolts, you guys. When they wake up, you offer the potty. When they make that face where you think they're smiling at you, and they're like, oh, look at her first smile. Oh, she's smiling at me, honey. And then you hear explosion, and you're like, okay, I learned that was not a smile. That was a grimace. And that was a signal that she needs to poop. And next time I'm going to say, wait, and I'm going to open up the diaper, and they can hold it. They have sphincter control at birth.
So you say wait.
Enough. I say wait because
interesting. Cool.
It's this thing. It's a repetition where when they're a little bit older and they start to make that face at the high chair, which has really common between like 6 and 12 months, they start to poop in the high chair because they're sitting and they're relaxed. And they're like, I'm just going to go right now. If they're wearing a diaper, why not? So you see them grimace at that time, and you say, wait. And we have run through our house so many times. It's hilarious. Because
I just did this morning. With like poop coming out of her butt. I was like, wait.
And some people might think you're in service to the child. This is like doting. This is too much. No, we are helping them with what they can't do by themselves until they can do it by themselves. And then between 12 and 18 months, which is the Montessori sensitive period for this particular task, this hygiene task in the Montessori preschools, if they're doing it by the Montessori book, which they should be, but many of them don't anymore. 12 to 18 months, they're wearing cotton pants in class. They're all going to the bathroom. It is that task. At that age, they are gaining control and mastery of their bodies.
Beautiful.
And we're teaching them where to put their waste. And it's super important.
It's also, partially selfish that like, I don't want to clean shitty cloth diapers. Like I've done it. It doesn't interest me. This is better. Okay. So let's go.
We're going to move into cloth after she's kind of out of the 4th trimester and she's a little bigger and I've got my whole stash. I do a really quick, easy EC diapering where it's not all snappy and done up and everything. Easy on. Easy
okay. So let's talk about that. So do you feel, okay, so we're still in 4th trimester. You're offering it, you're doing you're waiting for the grimace. Anything else around newborn stuff?
Yeah. So when you feel like you've had a miss, which is our term for an accident, because it's not an accident, it's that you guys have missed the communication, you've missed the signal, whatever. You maybe missed the toilet. That's happened before. On the floor. Mine peed all over my foot the other day because I was trying to my 8-year-old something. But he got to clean it up because he was, anyway, long story. we're doing it's a family thing in our house. So we're looking for when they wake up, when they're pooping, during a diaper change, because often people who don't do EC will get peed on when they're changing a diaper and they think it's the cold air hitting the genitals. That is not true. It is finally, you idiot, have figured it out and you got the diaper off me. I'm going to pee. Yay.
Totally.
And then we condition them to go into their diaper. We really work on that.
I mean, they're born and then we're like, this is what you do. Like you're going to have to poop and pee and then this is what you do. So exactly. I love it. I love the idea of starting from day one. And I'm excited to do that with my next because exactly. You're teaching them from day one, whether you like it or not. So if you aren't doing anything and you're just doing diaper culture, then you're teaching them that. If you're catching and again, remembering in the newborn stage, if you're honoring your 40 days, if you're trying to stay in bed, if you tore, if you had a C-section, any of that, I mean, really, regardless of your circumstances, if you just had a baby, hopefully you're resting as much as possible. And so you just have a little potty. You can buy one from Andrea. There's others online. You could just use a bowl and you just keep it near you so that you don't have to be getting up and going to the sink if that feels like a little bit, like you're not quite ready for that. You don't have to leave your bed. You can do this from your bed.
I had leftover Chuck's pads from my first birth, which was the home birth with all the midwives. And I just pottied him over that. I'd fold over a quarter of it, potty him on it again. And I used all those up because I felt bad about throwing those away too. Yeah. So the other thing that's really important is if you have your baby diaperless, now some people do EC with no diapers completely the whole time. Sometimes this can be a problem if you do too much diaper free time. So your newborn's going to pee all the time. They will pee less often if there's something that they instinctively can resist. So if you think about it, like if I am wearing this, then I'm going to be a little bit more likely to tell my mom or my dad that I need to go, even as a newborn. If I'm not wearing anything, I'll just pee a little here, pee a little there, pee a little there. They're going to go more often. So they start to consolidate when they're wearing the right backup. And the backup can be a disposable with a cloth inside of it. It can be a cloth diaper. It could be just those workhorses, which I love, that are just the insert of the cloth diaper that have a little Velcros on them. It can be anything you want it to be. In India, they have these little underwear that they'll wear and they'll just wash the one every day if it gets soiled. It's a backup, not a toilet. So if you start from day one, even with just EC awareness, which counts, you're aware of their movements, which is way more than most people who are just doing whatever the culture's saying. And again, nobody's to blame here except for these companies who want to make money.
Except for who's to blame, which is not you listening.
Which is not the parents. I mean, and people will defend, we late trained and it was so easy. And I'm like,
great
for you. That's great. This isn't for you. But if this appeals to you and you're like, whoa, this is crazy. So you can use any backup you want. Typically, if you're going to use diapers for 3 years and then at night, probably for 6 years, then think about using diapers only for 11 or 12 months is way less and you should pat yourself on the shoulder for that. And you're going to reuse them a lot.
Mhm.
So I like to use a combination of cloth and disposable depending on the stage of the baby. At night, if I want them to sleep more, usually a disposable will help them sleep more, honestly. Because my babies just cloth, they're like, ooh, that feels so good. And they'll just pee in it and they don't care. So every baby's different, right? No guilt with a newborn though. If you have them naked all the time, they'll probably pee all the time.
I know a lot of women in the free birth community and myself included, keep the baby pretty naked in if circumstances allow. Like I was on Maui, so it was very easy for me to be naked and the baby to be naked,
Yeah.
and just, would lay her on reusable pads. And what I found, it's not like she was always naked, but what I found was when she was naked, it upped the ante for me to be more aware of her because I didn't
Absolutely.
want her peeing on everything. And so the days that we intentionally were like, we're going to stay home and she's staying naked and we're going to give her the opportunity to pee every 20 or 30 minutes. And we set a timer on one of our phones, and we did that for 3 days in a row right before we left, just to like dial it in. And it was awesome. And we were on top of it, again, incentivized because we were like letting her be on us and on our couch. And, we weren't diapering her. And yeah, she was only a couple weeks old, and we set a timer, and we made it be a thing for a couple of days and didn't leave the house, because otherwise if we left the house, we were going to obviously diaper her. And it felt like training a puppy. We just did it. And every 20 minutes we had her over the little baby Bjorn thing with the noise, and she didn't pee every time. It was just a quick like, hey, you want to do this? No. Okay, that's fine. And if she missed it, we would set the timer for like 10 more minutes or something. And then if she did pee, we'd wait 30 or something. It was totally not, it might sound stressful listening to it, but it wasn't. It was totally like a fun thing that we did to get on top of it. And I guess the lesson I learned, because she seemed like fully trained after doing that for a couple of days. And the lesson I learned from that, and then again, now cut to 11 months later, where she hasn't pooped in her diaper for whatever it's been, 4 months, is you get out what you put in, by doing that. And by upping the ante of my personal investment in it, she responded. She has responded to any amount that I've done. So we've moved, 3 times since she was born. So there's been totally times, and with my neck issue, where I'm just like, it's not happening today. Like I can't even pick you up.
Which is fine.
Of course, of
Totally fine.
course.
Yeah.
And so I'll just like tell her like, hey, it's not happening today. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
And, and then obviously we're using diapers, and whether it's cloth or disposable or whatever. And I guess the point of that was, it's just been so fascinating and such a lesson in motherhood, and not just in motherhood, but in relationship, that I am getting what I put in. The days that I'm on it, she's down, because she's going to poop or pee regardless of how I feel about it, right? She's going to poop and pee. And so if I'm on it, and I'm aware and I'm tuned in and I'm paying attention and I'm speaking with her and I'm listening, she has dry diapers. And
Yep.
how
Absolutely.
that feedback loop is what that's doing for our relationship and for my own confidence as a mother, and our relationship as friends, and as people who are getting to know each other. It's so profound, the relationship that it has, or the foundation that it has given to us.
I've
Um,
heard that from every single parent.
yeah,
It's been hundreds of thousands of parents that I've helped learn EC now. Every single one of them has mentioned that as something that's been a huge benefit. Yeah, well, I don't have to change poopy diapers, or yeah, this or that. Or, my kid went back to preschool, but we still trained by 18 months because we still did it at home. Like you can do
right,
it around
right.
daycare. You don't have to do it full time.
Mm-hmm,
All the feedback, though, it all comes down to there is another layer of connection. It's not
mm-hmm.
better or worse than any other way of parenting, but it probably is going to enhance your connection and make
I
you
mean, I
feel
would
more
say it's
confident.
better. I would
I
say
think
it's
it's
better.
better, but people get pissed off at me when I say
Yeah,
that.
well, this is not the podcast to listen
So
to
much
if
better.
you're
I know your audience will be like, yeah, hell yeah. Okay, so I can also curse, can't I? Yeah. So
yeah.
no. So may I add something too to your observation days? Just as something that so there's an observation log on my website at godiaperfree.com/observation dash log, and it's free and you can download it. And so what I recommend doing, so what you did is Awesome. And it's great. It's clock timing and you're going off of, and then you're adjusting the intervals. So that is one way to do it. Another way to do it is to go from waking up or from a feeding, just pick one event, and then you will time and see how often they wet or soil themselves and then find a rhythm. And
Right,
this is
right, right.
really after the first few weeks. So it's great that you did it when you did it, because in the first few weeks, everything's crazy. There's no pattern to
Yeah.
feeding, there's no pattern to anything. You're all just like riding on your high of just having a baby and you're trying to recover in most cases. And when a couple weeks have passed, so during this time, you can just do observation and sound associations.
Mm-hmm.
Go along with them when they're doing it. Maybe you catch something cool. That's great. Bonus points. After a couple of weeks, you can do an observation session for a couple of hours or even for a couple of days and lock down and do it and see how often are there intervals after waking or feeding. And you will see a distinct pattern come out.
Right.
I have a whole series of mini courses, and one of them is potty time mastery, because you don't know when your baby needs to go. And my baby doesn't signal. And let me tell everybody listening, if your baby never signals and you've tried EC and you feel like you're a failure because your baby never signaled, there are 3 other ways to do EC. You don't have to just get signals from your baby. There are many reasons why some babies don't signal. And most of the time it's us being too distracted in today's culture, or we don't pick up on signals. But oftentimes babies just won't signal. They'll stop signaling. They're on to other developmental
Yeah,
tasks.
that's okay. I did want to bring that up
This is an
because
important one.
she
Yeah.
for sure does not signal when she needs to pee
Yep.
most of the time.
That's
And so
fine.
the only way that I've figured out how to catch them is to be proactively offering her,
Right.
because she'll just look me in the face and pee with no signal. Or, with pooping it's different, it's completely different. But it's not because she's even pre-signaling, it's just obvious, and I've paid
You see the
attention.
signs. You
Yeah,
see
you
the
see the
signs. So a
signs.
sign is a little different from a signal, but it's still helpful information.
Exactly.
You're paying attention and you're like, wait, she just got quiet and still. What is going
Right,
on?
right. And so I did get a little confused about that with
Mhm.
after reading the Diaper Free Babies, or again, didn't read it after learning about it from my husband. But I did get confused because I felt like EC kind of got painted like you're going off of your baby's signals, but I did notice signals when she was younger, but
Yep.
somewhere around 3, 4, 5 months, I was
Right.
like, oh, you
Exactly.
for sure
Fourth
just peed
trimester.
on the floor. I didn't.
Fourth trimester, you have clear signals. You've
Right.
got a
Okay.
child who is very fetal still, very creature like, just coming into their body and coming into the surroundings and sight and smell. Okay. So you have clear
So yeah,
signals.
let's move
But okay,
into
yeah.
the
And just to
next.
finalize the newborn section, that's
Mhm.
why it's so great to start as a newborn too. So you set patterns as a parent where you're going to be committed to it more than, even if they're going to daycare in a few months, who cares? I don't care. Start it, get that connection, learn about your baby. It will help. Um, and know that they signal much more clearly at those first 3 months. Then we move into mobile babies. They're rolling over, they're starting to crawl, they're starting to sit up. Some of them are starting to walk. So we're looking at like 3 to 12 months. During this time, there's so much happening developmentally. And if you're into Wonder Weeks, there's leaps that are happening. If you're into whatever, Montessori teaches the different stages and everything, there are different developmental tasks. And there's teeth coming in, and there's also food changes, and they're starting to eat solids. So much is changing. And maybe they're starting to sleep through the night, I hope, for you, some of you. Like, if you want that, please, it's possible. It's great. There are so many changes that, of course, signals will go out the window. And think about it for a second. If we were in an intact culture where we are wearing very little clothing, probably, we are able to go out, we're in a mud hut, you're crawling, you can go out to go pee and poop where everybody else does. You're done with potty learning, done. You've been shooed out of the house a couple of times when you peed on the kitchen floor. You're done. And now you're going out where everybody else goes. Your EC days are over. Everything's done. I went to Ghana, West Africa when I was 19. Also, had no idea what was going on, but I knew there were no diapers. I remembered that. There was a crazy man in his 70s wearing a diaper, and he was the only one.
Whoa.
And everybody loved him. And the babies didn't have diapers. So what did they do? Well, when they started crawling, they went out to where everybody else went.
Wow.
So you think about it, you're in the modern day. You've got carpet, probably, you've got clothing to work with. Your baby's just going to go in their diaper usually, or if they're naked, they're just going to go on the floor and they're going to crawl on. Why would they bother to tell you when instinctively for hundreds of thousands of years, they haven't had to tell anybody after around 5 or 6 months? They don't have to tell anybody because they can do it themselves. So of course they're going to stop signaling. And also too much is going on. They're going to stop signaling. So EC is The problem with the other books that I found, and the reason I wrote my book also, is because it wasn't really comprehensive. What if your baby doesn't signal? What do you do then? Well, in
Right.
the mobile baby section, part of life, a lot of people start at that stage, and I encourage you to if you've got a mobile baby. It's just you have to tweak things a little bit. So when you're observing, you might want to use, like I have training pants that you can see, the turquoise ones, you can really see when they're wet. You can do observation with training pant on your mobile baby. You can do it with a diaper belt with a cloth diaper in the middle of it. So it's like a sumo style. You can do observation naked and just have to clean it all up, which is fine. But you have to modify that. You might use words instead of, or you might use a mini potty instead of holding them in arms. There's a lot of things that change. They're all thoroughly covered in my book. But basically, you are going to go off. I call them the 4 roads to potty time. So there are 4 ways to know when your baby needs to pee. One of them is a signal or a sign. You see them bear down, or maybe they're blowing raspberries because they're trying to make that noise that you make. They're going. Brrr. Some babies will do that before they need to go. Some babies will just grab their crotch area or their bottom. A lot of them will fart, whether it's pee or poop. So there's signals, lots of them. I have them all listed out from all over the world. Everybody reports back. These are my baby signals. So those are one way. Another way is transition times. So I was calling those the easy catches, but also like transition time. We're about to get in the car. Of course, I'm going to potty my baby first.
Right.
We're going to get in the car. When I get to the store, I'm going to potty my baby upon arrival. When my baby gets out of the bouncy thing, I'm going to potty my baby then. Or when my baby gets fussy after being in the bouncy thing, I'm going to potty them then. So there's different times. When is a transition between one event and another, or between being in a baby carrier? Oh my gosh, if you're baby wearing and then you take your baby out, please potty your baby because they're probably going to be holding it the whole time and they need to go. So with a mobile baby, you could do a lot of different other things. It's really exciting time to start. And with that, I guess that's about it really for the mobile babies. And then you have the young toddlers, the 12 to 18 months. If you want me to move into that, I can.
Yeah, because I'm curious about how the actual toilet comes into play, and how I feel like we were talking about before recording that, like, my baby is almost 11 months. She's crawling and pulling up, but not walking, but getting attitude. And she clearly will need to pee or poop sometimes. And I'm still holding over the sink. Sometimes the toilet, well, toilet is poop, but I still hold her over the sink for peeing. And she'll be like bucking and trying to resist and get out of my arms. But I know that she has to go to the bathroom. And I'm wondering, what are other options?
And that is a great sign. So oftentimes babies will go into something called a potty pause at this time. It's because they want more independence.
Right.
But the
That's what I'm
hard
feeling
thing is,
too.
like, I want to do it myself, but you don't really have the
Right.
skill to do it yourself yet. And it's going to be a disaster, which with a lot of things. The most
Yeah,
hilarious thing.
that's life. Yeah.
It's life. So, okay. So with the mobile babies, by the way, the other 2 ways to know your baby needs to pee, one of them is natural timing, not clock timing, your baby's natural rhythm after waking and eating. Observation at any age is super helpful. You can learn your baby's unique rhythms. Okay. The 4th one is intuition. She can't possibly need to go again. Oh, he just went 5 minutes ago. He can't possibly need to go again. That's actually intuition. That means you're cooking and you're going, oh my gosh, poop, poop. Why am I thinking about the baby poop? Because
Yeah.
the baby needs to poop. So you got to learn how to trust that intuition. Just like with
Mhm.
birthing, you learn how to trust your intuition. This also has been taken from us over many thousands of years. We can reclaim our intuition by doing EC, and it really helps us to tune in.
Oh my God.
So,
And it's the coolest
yeah.
thing because it obviously connects to everything else. But going back to the conversation about the confidence building, like, same with my partner as well, just exactly like you said, like, all of a sudden it will just occur to me out of nowhere that she has to poop or pee,
Exactly.
or in the middle of the night, or whatever, or
You'll
when we're
dream about it.
driving. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what I have not had dreams about it, but I just spoke with a woman who I hope to have on here who she co-sleeps and dreams when her baby has to pee, and she wakes up and she pees her baby.
I do
Oh
too.
my God, that is
It's so
so
awesome. Even if
freaking
they're in the other
cool.
room. So I co-sleep for the first few months now, and then I put them in their own crib because I sleep better, they sleep better. We just have modified what I used to be like. I was really committed. I was only AP, attachment parenting, with my first, and I wore myself out. So,
Right.
I'm finding balance. With that, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and dream about them needing to pee, and they're in the other room. And sure enough, within 30 seconds, they're awake. I can hear them on the monitor. I go get them, potty them, put them back to sleep. By the way, I would only do nighttime EC if it helps everyone get more sleep, because there are times when you won't do it and there are times when you will do it. When it helps, fourth trimester. When it doesn't help, that whole middle part. And then babies can be dry all night by 14 months. Some of them never till 3. It really depends. So just for anybody wondering.
Totally. And
That,
I
yeah.
have been I don't do EC at night. Okay, I'm gonna be real. I don't care enough. I'm sleeping. She's sleeping. I'm not
Well, you're
doing it.
prioritizing sleep. You
Yeah.
do care. You care about sleep, and sleep
Yeah.
is way more precious. Let me tell
Oh
you,
my
than
God.
letting your baby
Yeah.
in the middle of the night.
And
Sometimes.
I'm a rested postpartum mother, I have to say.
See, that's great.
Yeah. But it's not
I've
just
done
me,
it both
but
ways. No,
yeah,
there's no right
exactly.
way. There's
And
no
who
wrong
knows how
way.
it'll be with another kid. So I'm
You
living it
never
up with
know.
this one. But
Yes.
but because we do so much of the e-scene and we do it, upon her real wake in the morning,
Yeah.
I have been so fascinated the last couple of months how I can tell that sometimes it's dry diapers when she wakes up. Sometimes it's just one pee. You just tell by the weight of it or whatever. And then when I go potty her, how much pee comes out, and that she'll wake up and play with me, and then get a little irritable, and I'm like, oh right, shit, sorry. And then I go, and I go take her, and so much freaking pee will come out, and I'm like, you are the smartest thing that
It's like a
you.
puppy. It's like a puppy
It's
being in a crate all night. It's
amazing.
like a puppy being in a
Yeah.
crate. You let them out and they go the forever pee. It's just the same.
Right.
They're
And
mammals.
that was
Amazing.
another thing, is just how proud you feel of your baby and how smart you see that they are.
Yeah.
It's so important for your whole blueprint of mothering to feel that way about your
The
child.
success too, the pride,
Yeah.
the connection, the success, all of that. That is
Yeah.
so important. And you're really helping them. Even if you suck at EC, it doesn't matter.
You're doing
You're
something.
making an effort, and I commend you. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Um,
Okay, so
so many
older
people,
child.
yeah,
So
it's the older child,
12
yeah.
months on.
12 months to 18 months. So you want to start and finish during this period. And I have made the mistake with my third of leaving him in diapers till 17 months during the day, even though he wasn't pooping in them pretty much his whole life. But I left him in them for the sake of daycare.
Mm.
Um, if your child is poop trained, you can send them to daycare or preschool in whatever backup you choose, because you're paying the bill. Sorry. You can determine, basically say, I'm sending them in this backup. This is their rhythm. This is their routine. These are transition times that are good. Um, I have a blog post about this that actually has a whole download that you can use and give to your preschool daycare provider. But during 12 to 18 months, it's going to be an issue if you work, or if you need time off and you have them in a social setting. It's going to be something that you're going to, I can't do EC because I have to do this. No, you stick with it at home and on the weekends and the nights and in the mornings, and they'll still get it. But 12 to 18 months. So if they're poop trained, you can send them in cloth pull up, which I have some of those, and I have the training pants. It's important to try to stay consistent with your backup between home and away. But anyway, I digress. That's just the biggest problem with people who have children in this age range. And it's why people fall off the wagon completely. They're cloth diapering, and then they start using disposables 12 to 18 months because they just are worn out. I get it. What you need to know is that during this time is the sensitive period with the Montessori school of thought. They have all these different sensitive periods for different things. It is amazing how sponge-like they are at this stage for the potty learning task. They want to do the whole thing and they want to do it themselves. They will resist if you're doing too much of it. They will follow your lead. If you get lazy at this point and you just fall back on diapers instead of taking them away at this stage, they're going to follow suit, and they're going to be like, well, this is a lot easier for me. I'll just go in this thing. And then you will end up potty training a 3-year-old because you'll have lost the connection.
So what, if in your opinion, what time frame, and of course it's different for every baby and blah, 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 but what point, if you're doing, like, take me, for example, I feel like you have a pretty good idea of how it is for us right now.
Yeah.
Should I be moving her out of diapers?
Not until she starts walking. So we
Okay.
have a
Got
very
it.
big developmental task. Now, I took when my first was 9 months old, I took him out of diapers because he started walking.
Wow.
And at that point, it is not developmentally appropriate to lay a baby down and change them lying down, their clothing or their diapers, if they're already walking. Even if they're pulling up, they're going to prefer to be standing up, and you want to honor that. Some
Yeah.
people don't, but I do. Um, you want to do changes standing up. Well, I found it to be such a struggle to change his diaper at that
Yeah.
that I was just like, screw this. So I put training pants on him and they fell right off, which is again the impetus for starting
Right.
years later. But I really was over it. I was over the struggle. I didn't want to battle my son. I also really wanted to support his learning. So we upped the ante. I even did a little mini potty training session with him at 13 months to get him to go to the potty every time. It's just the best time for learning. It's awesome. For your situation, 11 months old, pulling up to standing, but not really walking yet. Once she has mastered walking, she's going to be available mentally to really focus on completion with this task. So you're going to want to take her out of daytime diapers. She's waking up dry. Nighttime follows daytime organically anyway. Even if you don't lift a finger nighttime, you're going to have success. It's fine. Focus on daytime. So for daytime, excluding naps, you can have her diaper free, but not naked, unless naked works. So if naked all the time, you don't have pee all over the floor all the time, great. If you've got pee all over the floor, whatever, wherever, that
Don't
is
do
a
that.
diaper now, and you're going to be stressed out and you're going to be like, and everybody's
Totally.
going to judge you and you're going to feel stupid. So it doesn't feel right. You want to use the backup that works the best for wherever you're at. I have a whole blog post on backups. It's awesome. It tells you exactly what I've done with all my babies and what other people have
Okay,
done.
so you are pretty much keeping your babes in diapers until they've mastered walking, and that's the developmental transition to get out of daytime diapers and
Yes.
give them that authority to paint me a picture of, okay, so your baby or my baby, whatever, is mastered walking and they're in their little cute backups, and what happens? Like, are they walking into the bathroom where their toilet is? Is it a baby toilet, or are they needing help to get up on the toilet? Like, paint me a
Right.
picture of what that looks like.
With backups and with receptacles and with the location of the potty, everything is pliable and flexible, whatever works the best. For some time, you might have to potty outside, and that's the only place she'll go. If that's the case, then you do that for a little while.
Sure.
What day in and day out, you're going to be focused on the easy catches, like always. The wake up pee. Sometimes at that age, all I can get is the wake up pee because the rest of the time they're focused on other things. The wake up pee feels successful. I'm committed to it. It's great.
And it's easy. Yeah.
It's easy. And the poops generally are easy as well.
But
And
are you carrying her or him with that wake up pee with a 12-month and over, or they've mastered walking? What does that hold look like?
So for this age, I would definitely transition as they start to walk. I would transition from in arms holds to, unless they're like fussy or asleep or tired, or you're in public and you need to hold them over the toilet, to really teach them how to mount the potty. I have a new mini potty coming out, a little one that is really good for 12 to 18 months because they don't make them anymore. But they need to be able to have success with mounting the potty. So you can teach them, or you can have a slightly older kid teach them, but you want to teach them how to get onto the potty themselves.
So a fake one, not the one that adults are using.
It's like a
little
miniature
one.
for a child. Yeah. For a
So
child.
it's on the floor, maybe
On the floor.
like near the bigger toilet.
Now, however, if you have escapee problems because they run off and they haven't finished pooping or whatever, then you're going to want to contain them by using a toilet seat reducer on the big toilet. So again, it really just depends.
Yeah.
This is why my book comes with support, because there are so many variables. It's impossible to cover them all, but we have like a really good community and I have coaches and myself. We all help each other like troubleshoot. Everything is figure outable. You can figure out anything, but you're going to have a toilet seat reducer or the mini potty.
Okay.
And you're really going to want to transition to all of that and get rid of daytime diapers as soon after walking as you feel it's right, like that intuition. And then your job from 12 to 18 months, this is while short-term and long-term, mostly long-term repetitive memory is able to be stored in the brain. So you've got children who are able to start singing songs and doing repetitive things. Same thing with the routine. So you do the same routine every single time. I have a board book called Tiny Potty that explains the routine and does not focus on, am I ready to be out of diapers and all that crap? And it's a unisex kind of a genderless, it's the whole routine. The point of that book is to show the routine to this child over and over and over again.
It's a kid's
and to
book?
have, and it's for 6 months and up.
Cute.
just like my undies and everything, 6 months and up. So you want to really reinforce the routine, have them do as much of it themselves as possible, even pretend to wipe and put the toilet paper in, flush, turn on the lights, wash their hands, everything, all parts of the routine. And you want to really focus on teaching what you intuit are the things that are missing. I want to do it myself, help them do it themselves. 12 to 18 months is sort of the long stretch of teaching them that, handing the baton. This is their keys to the castle. Here you go. This period is all about teaching. It's all about having the appropriate backups. It's about paying attention. If they're in daycare or preschool, it's about poop training them at home, and teaching them the language that they need, or if they can tell you that they're hungry, they can tell you that they need to go. And they don't have to do that with words. So you want to really get to know them, educate your caregivers, and really focus on wrap up. Sometimes it lingers on until 20 months. If it gets longer than 24 months, you wrap it up with a potty training experience. You're not doing EC anymore. We're potty training. We're done. And you can use my other book for that. A lot of people have a good experience with both of them. They use one for this period and one for that period. But what you want to do with EC is it's not child-led. Your child did not choose to get into diapers. Your child does not get to choose when to get out of diapers. There is no child who's going to say, I'm ready to get out of diapers. It doesn't make any sense. It's a marketing message. You get to choose, and these are the tools to do it. And in my book, I have all of the building blocks to potty independence. It's very you want to know pride. You already experience it, but when they are like doing it, just to give you an example, my daughter, who's 5 now, 13 months I took her out of, okay, so I did I did almost no EC, like 2 months to 8 months. And then I was like, honey, crap, we're doing terribly. I got back on track with her. Got her into cloth diapers. 13 months she was telling me every time, and I took her out of diapers. No, 13 months I took her out of diapers. 15 months she was telling me every single time. She did not have any accidents from 15 months on.
Wow.
Amazing. And preschool, non-issue.
How was she telling you?
She'd say the word pee-pee.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So it's amazing. Like my 22-month-old will grab his butt and look at me. So and he doesn't talk as much. So every child has this capability. It's amazing. Beautiful. So 12 to 18 months, you're going to start and finish. And that's it. And you, when your child starts to walk and has really gotten over that hump, their brain is now freed up, you're going to start to hand the baton off. And that's what you see it as. It's on the job training. You're teaching them just like you teach them how to tie their shoes someday, or ride a bike, or teach the ABCs. And it's going to come out all backwards and sideways at first. A, B, L, M, N, O, T.
Right.
And then they'll get it. You just have to sort of stick with it. The diaper from 0 months to 18 months is always a backup, even when you're not really great at EC. It is not a toilet. That's the main point.
Think about it. Yeah. And so would you recommend with like my situation of putting her little baby Bjorn thing in the bathroom where she could crawl to it and then putting her on it instead of still holding over the sink?
Yeah, you can absolutely start transitioning with that right now. And some people will do a thing where they crawl to it and they touch it.
I've heard of that.
It's this training where they're teaching them to touch the
So
potty.
cute.
And you know what? All of mine have like banged on the door to go outside or banged on the bathroom door at a very young age. So it's possible to use that.
Yeah. And it's been fun. And now that she's doing it in the toilet, it's just to see the things come online. Like she watches it. She's curious about it. We flush and say goodbye to it. It's all happening, and she's, 10 months. And so, yeah, I think that feels right, because she's definitely trying to get out of my arms a lot. So I think I'll try sitting her on her little Bjorn so that she can take her time. Cause sometimes it takes so long. I'm like, my fucking arm is spasming up. Like I can't keep holding you, dude. Yeah. You are massive.
Just stop doing it then. And you want to close the door and lock it, and you're in there with them. And oftentimes this is the biggest tip I could give everybody listening. If your baby is like resisting and wanting to jump off the toilet or whatever, pretend like you're doing something else, like you're picking your pluck your eyebrows or do something like really intensely focus on something else. It gives them privacy without you having to leave the room. And then 9 times out of 10, they'll just go while your back is turned. It's really cool. Magical.
Love it.
They want that. They want privacy. They're just great.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. So yeah. So, I mean, you've said it throughout the episode, but just to wrap it up, how and where can everyone reach you? And if you want to speak a little bit to the community support, that just sounds so interesting and cool. So give us a little wrap up of how people can find you.
Absolutely. You can find me at godiaperfree.com, and you can find the easy start guide, the free guide that shows like a little synopsis of things. It's a 1-pager. It's super low commitment. And often people can start just from this. It's at godiaperfree.com/start. Very easy. I have a blog. I have a podcast that in 2019 is getting a whole overhaul. Got a YouTube channel. I've got tons of really awesome free resources. Then I also have my book, which comes with a private video library, an audio book, a digital version. You can get a paperback version too. And it's got the video library is just amazing.
Nice.
And then you've got access to this private community. And it's run by my coaches who I've trained myself. You can find other parents across the world who we all have read the same book. We're all giving each other the same similar advice. It is the most supportive, amazing, kind community. We have never had an issue in our community. It's beautiful, and everybody's really willing to support and very vocal and active. So that comes with the book as well. And then I also have my potty training book on there. And I also have 2 board books, one for daytime, one for nighttime. And then 7 mini courses, one on starting at birth, one on outings, all the major issue areas I've covered because I just get tired of answering the questions all the time. Put them into like one thing.
I need to do that.
Lots of examples. Yeah, it's really helpful. So, and again, you can also learn EC from my website without buying a thing. But if you need extra hand holding, I'm totally there. And I've got all of these resources because when I first started, I couldn't figure out a lot of this stuff.
Sure.
So you want to talk about demystifying and making you feel really competent at this? My book would be the best resource.
Nice.
For that. And in 2019, I'm going to do a full-on course with a lot more support and a lot more like hand holding and stuff. And if you're part of any of my email lists, you'll know about that. And then tinyundies.com. So you're not going to find things that fit. I have all the things over there and they're really cute and they're totally gender neutral and like wholesome. So
awesome. Yeah. I got to check that website out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I think this is, we accomplished our goal, I think, to give people the confidence and the tools to start it up. And yeah, I hope you guys will reach out to us and let us know how it's going. And please find Andrea on her website and so many free, wonderful website or resources. And yeah, thank you for your time.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Yeah, I'm excited to hear everybody's stories. Thanks for having me on.
All right, take care.
You too.
That's it for today, everyone. Join us next week for another episode of the Free Birth Podcast. Thanks for joining us. And remember, your body, your choice. Lots of love.